Well, that is basically the one of the most important things, because if a product is not usable and intuitive, then basically it will fail by default.
Why will it fail?
Because the user can't really uh, find a way around the program or site. Uh, well, if a user can find some features, well, the program is a failure.
Large amount of work is mainly design and user interfaces. User mainly sees just the interface and the design, and it is important to understand how the program works when you're a user.
If it's a corporate environment, for instance, maybe user experience isn't first priority. But when you are planning a social network environment, well, any environment where you want to aggregate as many people as possible, then probably user experience is primary.
It's actually one of the main things that should be considered, the usability, the user experience, especially if it's a user app in the end. Well, if it's like a server app and not a lot of interaction demanding, then maybe it's not so like important. But usually most of the apps will be used by people, so it should be considered very. It should be very high on the priority list, the user design.
And why do you think it's so important?
Well, because I think it's obvious that first people will be using it, so they have to understand how to use it. They have to use it properly, so they can actually use the software, not try to figure out how to use it.
It is the second most important thing after only the main function of the software, because it's all that the user sees and does. If for example you have two different softwares, and one of them is easy to use, another one is hard to use, but the function is the same, then of course you would choose the one that is easier to use.
Well, firstly, I think it will depend on the software itself, on the project. Well, if it's like a bank system, probably the security will be the main priority no matter what.
Users need to know that their documents or whatever they're doing is secure, and no one else will take their information.
Basically, you gotta max all these aspects out, but for example, ads. Well, as I'm developing some sites lately, we don't use ads at all, because it's a huge improvement on actually how the user perceives the site, and they like it better when there are no ads. Well, of course, security and privacy is, well, you can't skip on that. It must be always on high level. If the site has many visitors, it sure helps to pay up some of the maintenance costs, but if the project is something small, it's better not to use them at all.
Why?
Why? Well, the income from those ads can be so big that you could actually gain something from that, and that's why the user will like the site better if there are no ads. Because, well, you must agree that it's pointless to put ads on a site which gets only 10 users per day.
I was telling my kid to scroll a web page. In order to make the web page go up, you should press the key down, and the child asked, why is that? Because you need to move it up. So probably the swiveling experience in smartphones and tablets nowadays is an example of a good design.
Well, I think one very successful interface design is the one that Apple is using for the past few years. Because before iPhone, their touch phones were not very good, and you couldn't use them in every day because it's just too fiddly with the small screens and stuff. But Apple created a simplistic interface which is not cluttered with not so useful stuff. Only the main functions remain, and it's proved to be the most popular interface design in the world. So I think that's a example of successful interface design.
Imagine a software piece of software which has like on the main screen like 50 buttons. Well, and there are such applications you can find, so that's just not usable at all. So that would be bad. Browsers, our web browsers, I think, are very good examples, like Firefox or Chrome. There are not. So the main area is just for the web page, and the top part is getting smaller and smaller with each release. Like Firefox doesn't have any menu anymore, just the Firefox button. The search and the address bar is being combined, so less for people to think where to enter the data. So it becomes more and more simplistic, and I think it becomes even more valuable when you put it in full screen. So you have just one app, and you just use it, and there's only one place where you can enter the text, and it doesn't matter if it's a search or our address. You just get to your web page.
Well, I think now they are understanding them much better than before because, for example, new Windows 8 is a lot more usable on tablet PCs, even though they were available, for example, five years ago. But then Windows XP or Windows 7, it just wasn't usable with a touch input. So I think developers and big companies, small companies, everyone is accepting that user interface is very important.
Definitely some of them, and lately also there's a lot of actual articles on the net dealing with these actually themes, and well, the knowledge base is good lately, but some years ago, well, the situation was pretty bad.
How so?
Oh, well, maybe the community wasn't actually so developed, and they didn't think about these things. But now it's, well, every site where you can read IT articles deals with these problems now.
So I think feedback is very important.
Oh, sure. Feedback is the most important of the things, and because of that, also, when you make a product, you must always somehow program some hidden feedback features.
There are many things that could happen in the future, but I think that interfacing with software will happen not by just touching a screen, but in a 3D space, spatially interfacing with your software. For example, with sensors on the fingers or something like that, or cameras that track movement, and that is already happening in games and other stuff.
People worry that everything is getting so simple that we don't have to think so much, and we will get dumber and dumber. There's actually this movie, Idiocracy, where it's like in far future where people are actually dumb and fat and they don't do anything, and then average guy from today is smartest person in the world. But I hope that it doesn't become that way. But I think that software should be more and more easier to use. So I think that the trend is good. So to get the software into more and more people's hands, so they use it. From the other point of view, of course, people have to think less to use it, but I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing. So, well, we'll see.